It seems like just about everybody's weighing in on the controversy surrounding Duck Dynasty patriarch Phil Robertson. Louisiana's lieutenant governor, you know you jump the shark when the politicians get involved, entered the fray this weekend, crediting the show with actually increasing tourism in Louisiana. Cracker Barrel is back on Team Duck after customer outcry, and even Charlie Sheen, Charlie Sheen offered his opinion with an elegant poem on Twitter. We'll let you read the poem. It's got to be tempting for A&E to keep raking in those duck bills, but does this circus mean it's time for the two sides to part ways? So we're going to break it down in today's Money Talker with Remy Spencer, T.J. Walker, and Bob Norp. And let me start with you, Bob. You're a market analyst. This has got to be the most genius strategy, and I don't believe in conspiracy, but there's no way this just happened.
It doesn't matter whether it was a conspiracy or not. I mean, as soon as you make a decision like this, you look at all the options that are going to happen, and they knew what was going to happen. They knew who watched this show. People in New York don't watch this show. People across the
Wait, and they knew this guy was going to say gay people are the same as those who have bestiality?
No, we're talking about we're talking about the situation after he made that decision to say that. There was a conference that happened at A&E. There's got to be a conference where the PR people are starting to sit down and look at all the options, and they're like, this is a gold mine. All we have to do is wash our hands of it, stand back, and everybody's going to come to defense of these guys, and then we're going to make them mad.
Wait, let Remy get in. Let Remy get in on this. Do you think they told him to say it?
I think that they may have prompted him to say something that's a little bit more
inflammatory,
controversial.
Absolutely.
So let's get the facts straight, though. He gave an interview to GQ, and he said a whole host of things that I couldn't repeat on this news program, things that were very inflammatory. And then they didn't fire him. They put him on hiatus, knowing that they had the season in the can. So what they did was they got not just their own viewers to come to Phil Robertson's defense, but they got all of us who may not have been watching the show before to talk about it.
Let me, TJ, you go ahead. Then I have a question.
The problem is now they have essentially stuck their finger in the eye of every gay American, every liberal, every secular person, every black person. This guy is just vile. I mean, why not do a flattering show about the Klan?
There is a lot of vile stuff on television that passes for entertainment.
But you don't celebrate someone and make them stars.
But arts and entertainment, A&E gets to say, hey, this isn't good, and we did suspend them. But at the end of the day, everybody knows that reality television is. I have a BS in broadcast journalism, and reality television would also have a degree in that. They tell these people what to say. There is nothing real about reality television. Why is
But they're claiming these are real beliefs because of his religion, and it's the Bible, so you can't dispute that. There are a lot of things in the Bible. I could say you should stone your children to death if they
or sell your sister into slavery.
Because that's in the Bible. Would I get my own show for that? I don't think so.
Let's talk after this, and we can,
There are a lot of people that have very deeply rooted religious beliefs that are not unlike Phil Robertson, but there are people who have different beliefs, different interpretations of the Bible.
No one's denying Phil Robertson his ability to have his religious beliefs, and nobody has a religious right. Hold on. Nobody has a right to a television show. Let me go to TJ. At the end of the day, this is incredible marketing for them. But what is this show doing on A&E?
Bob or TJ?
Bob. I'm sorry, Bob. I'm saying TJ, and I meant Bob.
You're looking at me, so I knew that. This show is doing on A&E the same thing that the other shows on A&E are doing. I mean, A&E used to be arts and entertainment. Now it's probably anything and everything, but it doesn't matter. It's about making money.
And a four-letter word.
And I mean, that's the weird thing about this. They didn't hire these guys in a box. I mean, they knew what they were getting into.
But these guys aren't even true to who they were. You were saying 5 years ago, the Duck Dynasty family was a much different family 5 years ago.
This is entirely orchestrated. I mean, the entire Duck Dynasty thing. I mean, you look at a picture from 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I mean, they're all clean-shaven guys. I mean, they're not these long bearded guys who are rednecks from Louisiana.
What is real? These people have right-wing extremist vile viewpoints. That's real. That's not fake. That's the problem.
I've never watched this show, so I can't.
If A&E can do anything, why not do a show with minstrels?
So A&E,
why not Little Black Sambo?
All A&E has to do is wipe their hands of this. They wipe their hands. They say, oh, my God, this is horrible. Like you're saying, they have a season in the can. They rake in the money. All the people who support the show are buying the merchandise, clearing it out of Walmart. Walmart is sold out of Duck Dynasty merchandise. A&E gets to collect all that money and not have to the scourge of having had, supported this.
One of the things that I find disappointing as an attorney is that there are so many people who are confusing his right to free speech and his employment with A&E. So we know that the governor...
Listen, there are clauses in my contract that if I do certain things or say certain things...
But our First Amendment right to free speech, which is what the governor, Bobby Jindal, was talking about, does not protect the public's outcry. It protects us from government involvement in our free speech. You know, the FCC didn't come to A&E.
A&E holds the cards here. A&E holds the cards. The family can't walk. They own the A&E owns the rights to this whole concept. Do they not?
And all the people claiming, oh, he's had his First Amendment rights violated, they were very happy to see Martin Bashir on another network get the axe for something
That's true, Martin.
Said.
Well, and he said something that was
hypocrisy on this issue.
Well, so let's just get down to the honesty of it. Whatever happened to just common sense, decency, and manners on television? What was so bad with Ozzie and Harry?
It doesn't get the same ratings.
It doesn't get the ratings. I mean, when you're competing against 500 cable channels and the internet and every other thing that's competing for our attention, I mean, you just need to be more and more outrageous to get the ad.
Remy, Bob, and TJ, thank you very much. I got to tell you, I thought Duck Dynasty was a new restaurant that my people will go to on Christmas Eve when I first heard about this. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.